My name is David Campos. For me, the journey that brought me to this stage started 29 years ago, when my parents told me, my two little sisters, that we were leaving our native country, undocumented, coming to the US in search of the American dream. You see, for me, the experience of crossing that border and literally risking our lives, and once we got to the other side, of seeing my parents struggle, my mom as a janitor, my dad working 2 jobs, that experience has come to define who I am.
I'm David Chiu, and thank you all for being part of our participatory democracy. I'm the first kid in my family born here in the United States. Like David, my parents immigrated here because they were looking for more opportunity for my brothers and I. We grew up 3,000 miles away in Boston. 18 years ago, I moved to San Francisco for the very first time. And I was so excited that I was happy to sleep on the floor of a friend of mine who lived in the Tenderloin. Because I had a sense, I think we all have a sense, that this is a very special city. It's special because of our values, it's special because of our diversity, it's special because of our innovation. And I believe that as this campaign progresses, that just like there's a tale of 2 San Franciscos, in this race, there's a tale of 2 Davids.
Both David Campos and I, we are committed to reforming the Ellis Act. We need to make sure that we are overturning those speculators who are taking advantage of us. We need to find more sources of financing for our affordable housing. And right now, at our state capitol, there are not enough people fighting for affordable housing. In fact, Governor Brown recently vetoed a bill that would have helped many folks around the state. We need to get this done. And we need an assembly person who can be effective at getting this done.
We need to stand up to luxury condo developers, even if it means losing some, monetary contributions to the campaign. That's why I'm proposing legislation to regulate buyouts, and legislation that actually requires that the amount of relocation costs that are paid when an eviction happens actually allow the tenant to stay in San Francisco.
In fact, this past year, I've moved forward 4 significant policies to help tenants in affordable housing. He's only been able to move forward once.
It's not about the number of ordinances that you pass, but it's actually about the social change that you effectuate. If the number of laws passed define effectiveness, Washington, D.C. and Sacramento would be in much better shape today than they are. We got into this crisis because folk at City Hall chose to approve projects that create the one thing we don't need, which is more luxury housing.
David has voted to ensure that literally tens of thousands of housing units are not being built today. And if all of this had been built today, the crisis that we are in would have been less.
The difference is that it's the right kind of development. This idea that somehow you can just build your way out of a crisis. Supply-side economics did not work under Ronald Reagan, and supply-side economics, that somehow luxury housing will trickle down and somehow working people can afford it, doesn't work that way.
Our young people who are trying to figure out that sense of possibility in the city have an opportunity to succeed. We need more money for higher education. We need more money for a K-12 system, and I want to go to Sacramento to serve on those committees to bring those resources back to our city.
I actually have been able to get the endorsements of key leaders in Sacramento so that we have that kind of relationship that will ensure that San Francisco gets the money it needs.
Our state's largest corporate interests are helping him to raise money, and in David's past campaigns, a quarter of his money has come from developers, from builders, from property owners and lobbyists, and other chamber leaders who are assisting his race.
You cannot deal with the affordability crisis that we face in San Francisco, this tale of 2 cities, unless you make it so that people who work full-time, who are struggling, can actually make enough money to live in San Francisco. We gave Twitter a $22 million or $100 million tax break, depending on how you count it. Don't we at least have a responsibility to make sure that working people can afford to live in San Francisco? The very first job I had between high school and college, I was a janitor in a local public school, making $3 an hour. This past year, I passed first in the country legislation to give workers the right to ask their employers to take care of their family members, to take care of their loved ones, to take care of their sick ones. You read the newspapers, I took the chamber on. David waited in the wings until a month out
before he started talking about how important this was. And I have taken on the $60 billion plastic water bottle industry, the $16 billion yellow page industry that is supporting David Campos in this race right now.
David Chiu always talks about how we have the same voting record and we have a lot of similar votes until the Chamber of Commerce comes in and opposes something, then he goes with them.
Now, I am running for the Assembly because it is absolutely critical that we protect what is special about our city. And we are in the midst of an affordability crisis that is threatening what is special. I think we need a representative who will go to Sacramento to make sure that San Francisco gets our fair share, our resources to build affordable housing, to build transit, to protect our families, and to make sure that all of you, as the next generation of leaders in this town, thrive.
In Spanish, there's a saying, Dime con quién andas y te diré quién eres. Tell me who you walk with and I'll tell you who I am, who you are. Tonight you're going to hear who I walk with, and I walk with them and they walk with me, because at the end of the day, when the rubber hits the road, I'm going to be with them, not the Chamber of Commerce.